others join the flow. A sea of animals moves across the savannah, creating one of the most spectacular sights nature has ever created. From above, the herd looks like endless waves, undulating along the grass, stretching from horizon to horizon. But this journey is not an easy one. Only the strongest make it. Each year, more than 30,000 never complete the journey. The farther one gets from the serenity, the greater the danger. On the grasslands, predators await. A lioness hides in the tall grass, her eyes fixed on the wildebeest calf that is slowly following its mother.
In a split second, it is up like the wind, its claws digging into the poor cow's back.
In the distance, cheetahs are moving silently. At terrifying speeds of up to 110 kilometers per hour, they are the fastest killers on the savannah. When a Thompson's gazelle accidentally breaks away from the herd, it only takes a few seconds for a cheetah to catch up, pounce and take down its prey with a single accurate horror slap. But the most dangerous predator is not on land. It is hiding in the deadly waterbill. After weeks of traveling, the herds of wabiest and zebra have reached the banks of the Moa River, the last frontier before setting foot on the fertile Maasai life. But this is no ordinary river. This is a life and death arena where even the bravest creatures can be swallowed whole. Under the murky water, giants, now crocodiles, are waiting. The predators drift silently in the water, their cold eyes watching from the bottom of the river. A crocodile nearly 5 meters long, its body as solid as steel, slowly advanced into position. It was in no hurry. It did not need to chase. It just needed to wait. On the riverbank, the wildebeest stood hesitantly. They knew danger was lurking, but they had no other choice. A leader stepped forward, took a deep breath, and suddenly delved into the water. And then, like a chain reaction, hundreds, then thousands of others followed. The water exploded, heat crocodile shot up from the water, clamping down on the hind blade of a young wildebeest. It struggled desperately, but the crocodile's sharp teeth were already deep in its flesh. Another crocodile launched forward, launching itself from the water and grabbing the zebra's neck. The zebra thrashed wildly, but the crocodile had locked on. The powerful spin snapped the zebra's neck in seconds. The surface of the water returned to its calm, but below, the party had only just begun. By the time the last survivors reached the other side, the Mara River had become a floating graveyard. The carcasses of wildebeests that the crocodiles had killed, but had not yet eaten, began to float, drifting lazily along the current. And then the cleaners came. In the sky above was no longer as clear as before. The vultures were coming, dozens, then hundreds. They circled this sharp ice, scanning the water, waiting for the right moment to land. The first ones landed on the washed-up antelope carcass. They swooped down to tear at the skin, pecking at the softest part of the pre's belly. The sound of wings flapping and pecking echoed the entire riverbank, becoming a feast for the scavengers. It didn't need to eat anymore. It had waited for months, and now it had its reward. After weeks of traveling through the arid land and facing the harshest of nature's challenges, the survivors finally set foot on the Massamora. Grasslands, the morning sun shone down on the rolling hills, where the green grasslands stretched out like a giant carpet in stark contrast to the dry Serengeti. The Masai Mara is in its rainy season, with lush vegetation, flowing streams and cloudless near skies. The first wildebeests to set foot on this land immediately lower their heads to nibble on each young blade of grass, replenishing the energy lost after the harsh journey. Zebras with their distinctive black and white stripes also begin to relax, lying on the ground, enjoying a temporary sense of safety. But they do not have much time to rest. A more important task awaits the ahead. The breeding season is about to begin. The male wildebeests suddenly become more aggressive than ever. Exhausted from the long journey, they are now full of energy and begin to fight for the right to mate. While wildebeest fight fiercely, male zebras are no slouches, but they don't just use strength, they use intelligence. Zebras live in small herds, usually with a dominant male protecting 4 to 6 females. When an unfamiliar male enters their territory, the leader immediately approaches using a loud mate to warn off the intruder.
However, unlike wildebeests, zebras are more loyal. Once a male has established a herd of his own, he will protect his female herd at all costs. Of all the species participating in the Great Migration, Thompson's gazelles, Norandi, are the smallest, but that doesn't mean they're weak. Their mating season begins when the known males begin to establish their territory using scent marks to mark their territory. When a female passes by, the male will run alongside her, demonstrating his speed and stamina to prove himself. The females are not easily convinced. They will test the males by running at full speed, forcing the pursuer to chase them for several minutes. Only when the male is strong enough to follow will he have the opportunity to mate. Speed is everything for Thompson's dissels, because if they're not fast enough, predators won't give them a second chance. Three months later, when the first rains begin to fall on the Serengeti, the females will be pregnant. New life is about to be born. They will continue to grow and will begin their own journey, an endless cycle of nature. And then, in a few months, the call of the great forest will be heard again. The herds of wildebeest, zebra and Thompson's dasyl will leave the Mossamora again, returning to the serenity as the grasslands they revive after the rains. The journey will begin again. The calves will now become the pioneers of the next migration, and the Mora River will once again witness the fiercest scenes of survival in nature, because in the wild there is no stopping. Only those strong enough to continue.